Latest and current situation, join me and my guests for an update on El Salvador this coming Monday at 11, following our 10 o'clock film, El Salvador, Another Vietnam. That's Monday at 11.
Join Ted Patrick on Anasa Briggs for your information next.
Good evening and welcome. Indeed, it is a pleasure to have as our guest the internationally renowned cult deprogrammer, Mr. Ted Patrick. Ted, thank you so much for coming out and sitting down and chatting with me this evening. You know, you have been involved in a lot of controversial litigation behind your work with youth. How did you get started as a cult deprogrammer?
Well, I first started with my own son. He's 24 years old. And he was 14 at the time when he was psychologically kidnapped by a cult. And at that time, I knew nothing about it. And I just happened to be working for the state of California, and I did an investigation for the state of California, which was the governor's office. And
that was Governor Reagan at that time.
Right. Okay. And I went in and did my homework. I read every book I could find on this subject. I interviewed everybody that I thought knew anything about it. I interviewed witches, warlocks, you name it. And I even went in and infiltrated to see. Yes, I went in to stay a week, and I stayed 3 days and 4 nights, and I was hooked myself. And after finding out what they was doing, I had to find some way of getting the person out of this hypnotic state of mind control. And that's when I came up with deprogramming. That was the birth of deprogramming.
What type of individual is susceptible to deprogramming by religious cults? I mean, do you have to have a certain kind of mental fiber to be accessible to them? You said you almost got sucked into it.
Well, everybody is vulnerable because there's no way you can prevent something from happening to you when you don't know it's happening. There's no way you can walk out of something that you don't know you're in. Psychological kidnapping is just like you've been deceived. If I told you if you go to work for me, I will pay you $5,000 an hour, and furnish you with a 6-bedroom house and a chauffeur, and cook and butler. And then it sounds good.
Yeah, it does.
And then when you come to work for me, yes, you be living in a 6-bedroom house, but with 300 or 400 more sleeping on the floor, wall-to-wall human beings, like pigs on the floor. And then eating no protein, and got to give up all of your money. Sign over all of your property, everything you own in the world to the leader, and only do as he tells you to do. You have to quit school. You hate your parents, your friends, your relatives, material things, the government. You hate everything and everybody but that leader.
And this seems to be a consistent line that is operative throughout most of the cults that you've dealt with.
Yeah, see, they are, again, some of the most brilliant minds in the world. Most of the victims that I deprogram are doctors, attorneys, nurses, teachers, you name it. Some of the big business people. And you, just like this article here, 72-year-old lady which you read. In this paper here, she was 72 years old. She gave $40-some thousand, all her life saving, and was divorcing her husband for 50 years and giving up everything she owned, and I got her deprogrammed. In this article here, this is a doctor, a young surgeon, which you read about. And he's working right here in California now. And I have deprogrammed a lot of doctors and attorneys. See, you can't hypnotize a moron because you can't get them thinking in a single frame of mind. And the smarter you are, the more vulnerable you are. And especially middle class and upper class, naive, young victims that want to help the world problems and want to give of themselves. And they've been overprotected by their parents and don't know anything about these con artists and pimps and crooks. They don't know anything about them, and they trust everybody. And that's all they have to do is to get your trust, your attention, and your trust. And just with eye contact, they can put you in a complete hypnotic trance without your knowledge and without your permission.
And the verbiage that is used is based in a religious context as well. So they're using key sort of words and issues and beliefs that sort of have an attractive religious context.
Well, they hide under the guise of religion, and because it's tax-free. Now, for an example, if you was running a nightclub nude and everything and selling dope and smoking drugs, now all you have to do is to get a charter. Anybody can do it. That's the First Amendment. And 2 or 3 people and say, I got a church, a religious organization, and that make it legal. That makes it legal to kill your own child. If you get a charter, a religious organization. Anybody can say, I got a religious organization. And that means you can deny your own baby a medical attention, and that baby will die, and it will be legal for you to kill your baby if you
because it's
come under the guise
contrary to your religious precepts or beliefs.
That's right.
Okay.
And then it's too much of it going on, and they should investigate why it's a need for Ted Patrick. See, I'm not asking them to believe anything I say, and I got the facts. See, it's not like, when we say we have faith in God or faith in the Bible, we have faith because we have faith in something we can't see, hear, or feel, something that we can't really prove. That's where your faith come in. But if you got the proof, you don't need the faith.
And you've got proof because you have taped a lot of your deprogramming techniques, have you not?
Yes.
What kind of procedures do you go through to deprogram individuals who have fallen into cultism and their parents want them to get out of it?
Okay, number one, you got to get the person away from the influence. And once you get them away from the influence, only thing I do is to set that person down and talk to that person like I'm talking to you. But I shoot challenging questions to force the mind to start working again, because the only way you can control a person's mind, you got to destroy the person's free will and ability to think. And then you got to make it impossible for that person throughout the rest of their life to ever think, act, or make decision on their own other than what they are told. And it's very, very painful for them to think, because a thinking individual wouldn't do the things that you would do under mind control. And this is what mind control is. It's destroying a person's free will and ability to think. And they have been programmed that the mind is evil and thinking is the machinery of the devil. If you think, you stink. And you're only supposed to use your mind to serve God, and God is always the leader. If he's not God Almighty, Christ, he speaks for God only. And whatever he tells you, that is God is speaking. And you're supposed to do it without questioning, just like Jim Jones. And this is the reason I say it should be an investigation why it's a need for deprogramming.
Also, too, now once you've got in and you've spoken to them and start asking them questions and probing why they're involved in it, don't you set up an atmosphere, too, where they can still have their parents there or their family there? What is the purpose of having the family members there to see this
For
painful?
the legal, the parents got to be there because they got the legal rights. I have no rights over the person. And I never call anyone. They have to call me because there's no way for me to know who is in a cult. And it's not my responsibility to get anyone out of a cult. And I work alone. The parents is there present, but only when I'm deprogramming, I'm the only one talking. Now, the person can talk, because when I shoot challenging question, and they can't answer it, they can't respond to the question that I ask, because they can only respond to what they've been programmed to respond to. Now, it's foolproof to the average person because they can work, they can even operate on a person, run any kind of machines, they can do anything. But what controls the person and keep them under control is the philosophy. And that's what I get into, the philosophy. And I ask them simple question that requires a yes or no answer. And when they realize they can't answer those questions, they got to start thinking. And the more they think, the open their minds gets. When the mind get open to a certain point, then something can go in other than what they put into the mind. And once they start to evaluate, first they start to, that gives them something to compare with. And when they start to comparing, they start to evaluating. When they start to evaluating, they start thinking, and that's the key. When they start thinking, that's when their mind is going to snap back into consciousness. See, under mind control, you're in an unconscious state of mind. And then we spend over 30% of our day in a subconscious mind is known to us. Things that you like, routines that you learn. When they become a routine when you learn the routine, you don't have to use your mind to do it. You can be thinking about something that happened in Germany and then doing your work. And this is what we are dealing with. We are dealing with the mind. The mind is the oldest and greatest computer in the world. And the only thing will come out is what you put into it.
But when you get off into this stripping the mind of the programming that has been placed there, I'm sure the response that you get is a lot of resistance at first. Is that not true?
Well, see,
the
cults have put out all kind of lies about me. Even the DA's office here in San Diego have made statements to people, other DAs around the country, and told them that I take women and tie them to the bed and rape them. And then, now who is going to bring somebody in there to rape their daughter? And say I beat them and strip them naked and let them parade around in front of everybody. I don't give them anything to eat. I don't give them any food to eat. And they even passed out a letter around my neighborhood. Say I was a homosexual and a child molester. They say that I molested their child 5 times and they're afraid to tell the police, afraid they're going to be sued. But I know who's doing it because they did Paulette Cooper the same way. And this is the type of harassment that I'm getting now. And one Friday night, they went and passed out a lot of handbills at bars and say it was going to be a gay party at my house. And
you have to deal with all sorts of negative programming.
Right.
It's going against you.
Yes. And then, which I feel is supported also by the DA's office, because in Boston, at a cult meeting, they stated, anytime anybody taken by their parents or anybody else, or anything happened, to call the DA's office in San Diego. And this is the reason, I'm having the legal problems that I'm having now because of the conspiracy. that we are having with the DA's office. Because, see, the cults got a lot of money, and that means power. And when they find a weak DA, they get them to do their dirty work on the expense of the taxpayers. And I feel the people should investigate. You recall the man, vote him out of office. Because the police, they do their job. Mm-hmm. They can pick up a guy they caught right in action, killing somebody, or robbing, armed robbery. And the DA can turn him loose. The DA is more powerful than all your elected officials combined. He can do anything. You know, if I can be charged with for kidnapping, unlawful imprisonment, for something that happened.
That was another charge, was it not?
And conspiracy for something that happened in Tucson, Arizona. And I was in San Diego in court, had nothing to do with it. Only person that had something to do with it that was involved was the family members. I was the only one charged, only one convicted for something I didn't do, and they never made it into San Diego. Now that makes them more powerful than the FBI, because the FBI can only come into a situation if you cross state line, some type of laws that would bring the FBI into the case. But they never even made it into San Diego County. And I was charged and convicted.
But now I need a point of clarification. Are you saying that the family members supposedly were the ones who were there in Tucson with the person that was kidnapped while you were here in court?
Yeah.
Yet the family members did not get prosecuted.
No.
You got prosecuted.
I'm the only one that got prosecuted, and the only one got convicted. And the police there told them that they knew about the cult, to take their daughter and have her deprogrammed. And see, if it wasn't a crime in Tucson, why should it be a crime in San Diego when it didn't happen in San Diego? And they knew I was in San Diego in court. Had nothing to do with that. And I also feel that it's discrimination too. San Diego is very prejudiced when it comes down to this type of thing. For an example, you know, the 3-year-old person, the child that was kidnapped for ransom out in La Jolla.
Yes.
They caught the 3 people. Okay, where the house that they was holding the little girl, they let them go. DA let them go scot-free. Let him go scot-free. Said they didn't have enough evidence on him, and they picked the little girl up at his house. And then the 2 people that kidnapped the little girl, they got out on $11,000 bail. You know how much my bail were?
How much?
$50,000.
Whoa.
And they reduced it down to $20,000. And during Christmas, armed robbery, 2 guys robbed a liquor store on 25th Street in Golden Hill. And when they saw the police behind them, they ran a stop sign, ran across a red light, hit a motorcycle, and killed a man. And they got out on the driver, had $7,000 bail, and the other guy got $5,000 bail. They had no roots. They could run. But I got roots here in San Diego, and I'm out on $20,000.
And you also have a lot of backing, too.
Right.
There are a number of individuals, thousands of people that you alone have assisted across this country. Are they not trying to organize and give you a lot of publicity? I know you've been on speaking tours throughout various cities.
Not only that, like I said, sooner or later they're going to have to come around and try to at least find out what's going on. I have spoke at some of the best universities in the nation. Last year, in I think around November, I spoke at Johns Hopkins Hospital, and I got to go back and do a 3-day seminar. University of Colorado, been out here State College many times, and Boston University. I spoke at Harvard. I spoke at Yale. And only reason I don't do more speaking is because I don't accept the invitation. But
Not accept an invitation.
to go, it takes up a lot of my time, see.
Oh, I see.
But I'm going to go on a speaking tour now because that's all I can do. Now because I have to have some means of taking care of my family. Like Dr. McHugh, the head of the department of Johns Hopkins Hospital, said this is one of the most serious and dangerous situations that he ever heard of. And he said this should be one of our main curriculum. But I'm ashamed to say that we know nothing about it. And but this cult movement is getting greater by the day, like these hotel fires. I would say that was cult related.
Why would you say that was cult related?
Because they done stole enough ammunition and guns and things from Camp Pendleton to fight a war.
Is this documented?
This is documented. You read all the time in the paper in Krishna, Hare Krishna, they raided at least 3 or 4 times and found guns and ammunition. And then the way international, where this was made the headlinings of the papers around the nation, where the National Guard was giving them, training them how to use the weapons that they had. Why should a private citizen buy a lot of weapons? These cults are buying the weapons. See, they got a bomb. See, it's not like the tear gas that they used to shoot into a house now. You can shoot that first bomb in there, and it completely fills every inch of that room full of gas. And just a cigarette light would spark it off. In a split second, the whole room would be in flames. And this is what happened at the MGM in the hotel in New York. Okay, 3 Mile Island.